Just got home from work, school, daycare, etc. Got the boys to basketball practice. Have one boy still at basketball practice. And we are going to do some grit before we have some dinner. Yeah? It's called multitasking, people. Setting goals, crushing them, day in, day out, killing it, right? Okay, so Warren Buffett, the self-made multi-billionaire whose personal wealth, acquired entirely within his own lifetime, is roughly twice the size of Harvard University's endowment, reportedly gave his pilot a simple 3-step process for prioritizing. Hi, buddy.
Kind color.
The story goes like this. Yeah. Buffett turns to his faithful pilot and says that he must have dreams greater than flying Buffett around to where he needs to go.
Mommy, can I color on this?
Yeah, that's fine, honey. Here, just take these. Go ahead.
Do you have markers right over there?
Those are pens.
And markers?
We'll take those for now and then come back if you need more.
No.
The pilot confesses that yes, he does, and then Buffett takes him through the 3 steps. First, you write down a list of 25 career goals. Second, you do some soul searching and circle the 5 highest priority goals. Just 5. Third, you take a good hard look at the 20 goals you didn't circle. These you avoid at all costs. They're what distract you. They eat away time and energy, taking your eye from the goals that matter more. When I first heard this story, I thought, who could have as many as 25 different career goals? That's kind of ridiculous. Then I started writing down on a piece of lined paper all the projects I'm currently working on. When I got to line 32, I realized that I could benefit from this exercise. Interestingly, most of the goals I spontaneously thought of were mid-level goals. Oh, thank you, baby. People generally default to that level of goal when they're asked to write down a number of goals, not just one. Here, honey. Here. Okay, honey, can you give him a marker? To help me prioritize, I added columns. Oh, I love columns. That allowed me to sort out how interesting and important these projects were. I rated each goal on a scale from 1 to 10, from least to most interesting, and then again from least to most important. I multiplied these numbers together to get a number from 1 to 100. None of my goals had an interest times importance rating as high as 100, but none were as low as 1 either. Then I tried to take Buffett's advice and circle just a few of the most interesting and important goals, relegating the rest to the avoid at all cost category. I tried, but I just couldn't do it. After a day or so of wondering who was right, me or Warren Buffett, I realized that a lot of my goals were, in fact, related to one another. The majority, in fact, were means to ends, setting me up to make progress toward one ultimate goal: helping kids achieve and thrive. There were only a few professional goals for which this wasn't true. Reluctantly, I decided to put those on the avoid at all cost list. Now, if I could ever sit down with Buffett and go through my list with him, which is unlikely since I doubt my needs rate a place in his goal hierarchy, he would surely tell me that the point of this exercise is to face the fact that time and energy are limited. Any successful person has to decide what to do in part by deciding what not to do. I get that, and I still have a ways to go on that count. But I would also say that conventional prioritizing isn't enough. When you have to divide your actions among a number of very different high-level career goals, you're extremely conflicted. You need one internal compass, not 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, etc., so on and so forth. 1. So, to Buffett's 3-step exercise in prioritizing, I would add an additional step. Ask yourself, to what extent do these goals serve a common purpose? The more they're part of the same goal hierarchy and... Hey, let's be nice. Let's be nice.
But he knocked them over. No.
Hey, guys. I can't do this if you... Can we give him a marker, please?
You want
Sweetie?
a marker?
Yeah, give him a marker. And then give him his paper. See? Problem solver. Oh, the more they're part of the same goal hierarchy, important because they then serve the same ultimate concern, the more focused your passion. If you follow this method of prioritization, will you become a Hall of Fame pitcher or earn more money than anyone else in history? Probably not, but you'll stand a better chance of getting somewhere you care about, a better chance of moving closer to where you want to be. When you see your goals organized in a hierarchy, you realize that grit is not at all about stubbornly pursuing at all costs and ad infinitum every single low-level goal on your list. Low, 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 low. In fact, you can expect to abandon a few of the things you're working very hard on at this moment. Not all of them will work out. Sure, you should try hard, even a little longer than you might think necessary. But don't beat your head against the wall attempting to follow through on something that is merely a means to a more important end. I thought about how important it is to know how low-level goals fit into one's overall hierarchy when I listened to Roz Chast, the celebrated New Yorker cartoonist, give a talk at the local library. She told us her rejection rate is, at this stage in her career, about 90%. She claimed that it used to be much, much higher. I called Bob Mankoff, the cartoon editor for the New Yorker, to ask how typical that number is. To me, it seemed shockingly high. Bob told me that Roz was indeed an anomaly. I didn't want to think about all the cartoonists in the world getting rejected 9 times out of 10, but then Bob told me that most cartoonists live with even more rejection. At his magazine, contract cartoonists, who have dramatically better odds of getting published than anyone else, collectively submit about 500 cartoons every week. In a given issue, there is only room, on average, for 17 of them. I did the math, and that's a rejection rate of more than 96%. Who the hell would keep going when the odds are that grim? Well, for one, Bob himself. Bob's story reveals a lot about how dogged perseverance toward a top-level goal requires, paradoxically perhaps, some flexibility at lower levels in the goal hierarchy. It's as if the highest level goal gets written in ink. Once you've done enough living and reflecting to know what that goal is, and the lower level goals get written in pencil, so you can revise them and sometimes erase them altogether. Figure out new ones to take their place. Here's my not at all New Yorker quality drawing to show what I mean. Yeah. Okay. Not at all New Yorker quality. The low-level goal with the angry-looking X through it has been blocked. It's a rejection slip, a setback, a dead end, a failure. I love it! Thank you so much! Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful.
You can put it in your book.
Yes.
No, you can put it in your book.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in my book. I got to read a couple more pages, okay?
No, do it right here.
Okay, right there. Cool.
No, I can still see it.
That's okay. Okay, so the X is a rejection slip, a setback, a dead end, a failure. The gritty person will be disappointed or even heartbroken, but not for long. Soon enough, the gritty person identifies a new low-level goal, draws another cartoon, for example, that serves the same purpose. One of the mottos of the Green Berets is improvise, adapt, and overcome. A lot of us were told as children, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Sound advice, but as they say, try again, then try something different. At lower levels of a goal hierarchy, that's exactly what's needed. Here's Bob Mankoff's story. Like Jeff Gettleman, the New York Times East Africa bureau chief, Bob didn't always have a clearly defined passion. As a child, Bob liked to draw, and instead of attending his local high school in the Bronx, he went to LaGuardia High School of Music and Art. Later fictionalized in the movie Fame, once there, though, he got a look at the competition and was intimidated. Being exposed to real drawing talent, Bob recalls, made mine wither. I didn't touch a pen, pencil, or paintbrush for 3 years after graduating. Instead, he enrolled at Syracuse University, where he studied philosophy and psychology. In his senior year, he bought a book called Learning to Cartoon by the legendary Sid Hoff, an exemplar of the effort counts twice maxim. Twice, people, remember? Over his lifetime, Hoff contributed 571 cartoons to The New Yorker, wrote and illustrated more than 60 children's books, drew 2 syndicated comic strips, and contributed literally thousands of drawings and cartoons to other publications. Hoff's book opens cheerily with, "Is it hard becoming a cartoonist? No, it isn't. And to prove it, I've written this book." It ends with a chapter called How to Survive Rejection Slips. In between are lessons on composition, perspective, the human figure, facial expressions, and so on. Bob used Hoff's advice to create 27 cartoons. He walked from one magazine to another, trying to make a sale, but not the New Yorker, which didn't see cartoonists in person, and he was, of course, summarily rejected by every editor he saw. Most asked him to try again with more cartoons the next week. More cartoons, he wondered. How could anyone do more than 27 cartoons? Before he could reread Hoff's last chapter on rejection slips, he received notice that, "Thank you, baby doll." He was eligible to be drafted for combat in Vietnam. He had no great desire to go. In fact, he had a great desire not to go. So he repurposed himself quickly as a graduate student in experimental psychology. Over the next few years, while running rats in mazes, he found time when he could to draw. Then, just before earning his doctorate, he had the realization that research psychology wasn't his calling. I remember thinking that my defining personality characteristic was something else. I'm the funniest guy you ever met. That's the way I thought of myself. I'm funny. That's the way I think of myself, too. Alright, guys. Apparently, we're going to get into a little coloring thing here for a few minutes, so I gotta go. Mom's so hard. But hey, we are going to finish this chapter tomorrow. Actually, no. I'll get back on in a little while, maybe after they're sleeping, and we'll finish How Gritty Are You? That way tomorrow we can start Grit Grows. Okay? All right. Thank y'all. Much love. Mwah. Sweetheart, it's okay. It's going to be okay.